Hello everybody. So we are making the Apple Peek-a-Boo Pancakes. Yes, we're actually making this for lunch today because our inspiration was we had our kefir and we wanted to try our Apple Peek-a-Boo Pancakes because we picked up the walnuts and the apples from the orchard as we rolled into town, but we're really intrigued by the idea that kefir can be a substitute for buttermilk. And so there's buttermilk in this recipe and we're gonna use the kefir. So what I have in the bowl already is just some whole wheat white flour and the oats and the walnuts. And so then, and we've got some baking soda, cinnamon. So we've got all the dry ingredients. So we're gonna add a couple tablespoons of pure maple syrup and a couple tablespoons of our coconut oil, which is just soft. And then we're gonna add an egg. And then we are going to add 1 3/4 cup of our kefir in place of the buttermilk. So this is all the wet ingredients. And you notice kefir is kind of a combo. I kind of laugh and say that if milk and yogurt had a baby, this is the combination of what kefir is. It's a little tangy, but because we have got the sweetness of the pure maple syrup in there and we're gonna have the apples in there, this is what we're gonna do. So basically you get it all combined and then come over here because what we have got going on is we put the apple slices on the griddle for just a minute because we want them to get a little bit brown. Oh my gosh, they're they're like getting soft and brown and caramelized and they smell amazing. Yes, if I had tongs here, that would be smarter, but we're gonna make this work. Okay, so then what you're gonna do after you flip them over, you're gonna actually put the pancake batter on and around the apple. And so that's why it's called an Apple Peek-a-Boo Pancake. And so then of course you would cook them until this batter is kind of bubbling and you're gonna flip them until they're brown on both sides and go through all the batter with apples. And all I did was cut the apples into 1/4-inch slices. So that will be our Apple Peek-a-Boo Pancakes. Okay, hold the phone. We just had our first fail in the new kitchen. So there were a couple of things going on. So people have told us, so here in Wichita, we have natural gas on our stove and oven. People have said that propane gas cooks hotter and faster, and now we know. So there was that going on. But then our second thing was adding, so that recipe for the Peek-a-Boo Pancakes calls for 1 3/4 cup of milk. And so I put that exact amount of kefir in there. And so really the texture and the consistency of the pancake batter, I felt like was too thick because it needs to be a little thinner to go around those apple pieces. So we decided to redo them again. So lesson learned. And this time I used 1 cup of kefir and 3/4 cup of milk. I actually didn't even add all the milk at first because I was just trying to get the texture and the consistency right. And so we made them again today. So the heat situation was better, but the falling apart when you flip the pancakes was still a little challenging. So here is what I'm thinking. So the moral of the story is we did a regular pancake with no apple, and it worked pretty well. But to do that combo of kefir and milk with a little bit thicker batter with the Apple Peek-a-Boo Pancakes, some of them turned out pretty good, but they're a little messy looking. So if they taste fantastic, but if you're trying to impress your guests, this may not be the recipe to use kefir in place of buttermilk and don't use the whole amount. So if I did this one more time, what I would probably do is use 1 cup of milk or even 1 1/4 cup of milk and then maybe just 1/2 cup of kefir. Or just pick a different pancake recipe and try to do the milk kefir difference. So we're going to keep trying to replace kefir for buttermilk in some of our recipes. But the moral of the story, I guess, is add milk to get the texture and the consistency how you like it. Because when it comes to healthy pancakes, you don't want them to be as thick as hockey pucks and the center not get done. That's why I always like the batter to be a little bit thinner, and especially to go around the apple in this case. So lesson learned, we're always learning. If you beat us to any of the other buttermilk or pancake recipes and you have success using kefir with the milk or instead of the milk, please keep us posted. But I was gonna say, we will keep going and share the results with you.